Hey, everybody, Scott here from the Gray House Literary Agency. I wanted to talk to you today about a topic that I saw pop up a couple times now on a couple of my other social media feeds about how to query a literary agent. And what was interesting is that all of these social media feeds somehow seem to imply that it was different than a lot of other things. And what I want you to hear is that it's not. Okay. Querying a literary agent is the same as sending a query to an editor. It's also the same as applying to a job and writing a cover letter. There's no different. So we're going to start actually with applying for a job. And I'm going to start there first, and you're going to understand why. When you apply for a job, you are going to that employer because you want to work with them. You want to work for that company. You have researched that company. You've studied, you've become educated in that career. Do you hear all of these things that I'm bringing up right now? First of all, you've studied, you've trained, you've got a degree, whatever that might be. You've practiced what you're doing. And then you said, okay, I now think I want to go work for this company. And what did you do? You took the time to research that company, right? You learned all about that company. You said, I want to work for them. You didn't apply for a company that you said, man, I don't ever want to work for that company, right? You'd never do that, would you? I don't think so. You would never apply for a company that you hated, right? And then when you write that cover letter, when you write that resume, right, you tailor that resume to prove to them that you fit their company, right? That's what you're doing. You say, Dear XYZ company, I want to show you the skill set that I'm bringing to you and why I so love your company, but why I fit into your company. And when you write that cover letter, you showcase how much you fit into their culture. Because the employers, when they're reading that cover letter, sure, they're looking at your skill set, right? They're looking at that, right? They're looking at your degree, right? They can pull that off of an AI screening, right? That's easy to do. Do they have a bachelor's degree? Do they have this? Do they have X number of skills, right? They can look at that. But in the end, when they get to that interview phase, when they start looking deep down, what they're asking themselves is, does this candidate fit into our company? Do they look like our company? Do they fit with our company? Do they fit with how our company believes, the culture, the likes, the mindset? Right? That's what they're looking for. Excuse me. Sorry. That's what they're looking for. They're not just sitting there saying, oh my gosh, this person's qualified. Sure, they can find somebody who's qualified, but if you come in, you're qualified, and they go, wow, but you are not the type of person we want, you're not going to get the job, right? So you have tailored that cover letter and that resume, and that's what you're doing. You're showcasing how you fit into their culture because you're saying, I want to be a part of your company. Who did you put first there, right? If you think about this with an employer, who did you put first? You put the company first, you put the employer first. You didn't turn around and say, hi, employer, I'm so cool. You need to come to me. That's not what you do. You do that, you've got too much of an ego. They're never going to hire you. You got an attitude. You came to them because you're saying, hi, I'm humble. I really want to work with you and for you. Right? That's what you're doing. Now, let's talk about those literary agents. Let's talk about the editors. You go to a literary agent, you're saying, hi, literary agent, dear Scott, I'm at this point in my career where I need you to help me advance my career. You notice I didn't say, I need you to sign off on a contract. I don't need you just to negotiate a contract for me, because that's all that you need, there are lawyers out there who can do that. You could probably run your contract through an AI chat GPT and they could probably tell you where the flaws are yourself. You could probably do that on your own, right? That's not what we're here for, right? You're coming to the agent and you're saying, "Hi, Scott, I need your help. And I'm coming to you because you are the right fit for what we're looking for what I'm looking for in my career, at my stage in my life. That's where I'm at. I need somebody like you because here's where my writing is at, and here's where you're at, and this is how the two of us can fit together." Do you hear the wording there? Do you hear the way that we're phrasing this, right? We're not saying, "Hi, dear Scott, I got a story and you're going to sell it for me." Whoa, wait a minute. Who'd you put first there? The story and you, or why you fit with Grey House, or why you fit with whatever agency is that's out there? So you tailor that cover letter, you tailor that query letter to show how you fit with that agency. Why are you actually reaching out to me? Now, if you're just sitting there going through your list of every single literary agent out there and you're just going to hit send, 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 you're not saying why you fit with that company. You're not saying why you fit with that agent. You're not showcasing your skills. And the same goes for applying for sending your story to a publisher. Why does your story truthfully fit with, say, a St. Martin's Press, a Warner Books, a Harlequin, Entangled, whatever that might be? How does your writing fit that style? Why do you truthfully want to be there? And why does your story really matter, and why does it fit there? That's how you apply, and that's how you query the agents and the editors. That's why a lot of you, honestly, are getting these rejection letters left and right, because all you're doing is going, "Hi, here's my story, send. Here's my story, send." And we're going, "Okay, fine. Here's your rejection, send. Here's your rejection, send." We're sending them back as fast as you're sending them to us, because we haven't fallen in love with this. We haven't fallen in love with your story because, you know something? And this might sound a little egotistical, but that's not it. You haven't fallen in love with our company. You don't even know who our company is. And you know what's funny is, I brought this up before, where I'll have a pitch session when I go to a conference, and I'll sit there and I'll say, "Hey, I love your story," and I've listened to this person. I'd say, "Please, definitely send me your story. I'd love to hear and see this." And I never hear back. Person never sends it, and I've often heard from writers, they say, "Well, I we didn't send it because after we sent it, then we learned more about you, and it just didn't seem to be a right fit." Then why did you interview? Essentially, why did you interview? Going back to that employer situation, why would you interview for a company that you didn't know anything about? That's what we're talking about here. Okay? So think that piece through, kind of process that in your head. Okay? If you want to know some more about this one, again, go on over to Grey House Agency or greyhouseeducationalservices.odoo.com. We've got some things on how to pitch, how to do query letters. We've got that. I've got my 6-month mentorship. Make sure that you follow me over on all my social media feeds, especially on Instagram. Go over to Instagram, hit the follow button. Please, please, please. Got to do that. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.